We are live. So, topic of discussion: gun rights. Oh, give me a second while I get shit situated. Need to go ahead and take care of stuff. Let my little chicks get some light, you know. There we go. Things taken care of. Oh, and the dog needs food, of course. What are you doing? You don't get it for yourself. You wait for Papa. I always get it for you, don't I? Yes, I do. Don't you tell me no. All right. The hell am I doing? Well, Yolanda, you do stoffer. Feeding my dog. Taking care of my chickens. Right quick so that I can settle back and run the freedom for them. Because it's Saturday. Oh. And I feel like relaxing a little bit. Not letting shit get to me and try not to be too angry. Ouch. Now, how are we looking here? Right. So, all on the fucking cell phone today. All right. Blaring? Good to see you. All right. So, let's talk guns. Because apparently, that's one thing that'll piss everyone off. Especially these days and ages. You know, you can't have a gun, but you can go and fight for our country and you can die for our country. You can't have a gun, but you can decide your own gender. Fuck me running. I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link, whatnot, in the chat real quick and do that up because I failed to do that yet. Copy and live on my channel. Let's get to it. Okay. Whoosh. And then, not what I did, damn it. Fucking computer. God, I hate this bullshit. There we go. It works. By God, it works. There we go. Yeah, everything's there. So feel free to come on up, do your thing, talk some shit. My rooster's going nuts. So yeah, it's a Saturday morning Freedom Forum, we're going to talk about these beautiful things here that keep us all free. And we're going to talk about the right to keep and bear arms, which some people see as a privilege. I would rather argue that it is not a privilege, but a right. And hear me out. Even if you cannot buy a firearm, you can buy an air gun, you can buy a black powder gun, you can buy a bow and arrow, you can still fucking own a machete or an axe or a hammer. So in all reality, even though guns are highly regulated, firearms are highly regulated, you can still keep and own arms, keep and bear arms, which is to say you can have them about your person. See, in this country, we tend to take for granted that we are free, but we forget about one very important thing. And that is that we have to, at some time, stand up for what we have, because otherwise we won't have it. I got I had a little bit of a mental rewind. A little bit earlier, I was over hanging out with somebody who I've only been on this feller's lives a couple of times, and I've only seen him around a couple of times, but at the same time, we see eye to fucking eye with this. All right. There is no excuse to be a fucking coward. There is no excuse. None. Oh, but it's dangerous. And what's your point? That's why I ask with a lot of my different videos and my live streams, what the fuck have you done lately? Because the reality comes down to, if you haven't done something in order to pointedly show that you are on the same level, that doesn't mean that you aren't. It just means you haven't had the opportunity yet. Or, on the flip side of it, maybe you were a little scared. And see, that right there, that little fucking oops of being too scared to do a damn thing, that's because of things like, I'll put it this way. We was looking up at the new footage from Uvalde with that was covered by Daryl over at HTC, and I'm madder than fuck about that bullshit, because these motherfuckers, they have a duty, a job, right? That it's their job to stop these sorts of motherfuckers when it comes down to like a school or something. But they were afraid to go in because this man had a gun that looked like theirs. Now, mind you, police officers don't carry AR-15s. Sheriff's departments don't carry AR-15s. They've got the fancy ones, the ones with the fun switch on the side. They get the nice body armor that will stop a 223, will stop a fucking 5.56, and they want to say, well, you know, he's got a battle rifle. Well, what the fuck do you have, man? Go ahead and tell me that, because last time I checked, a fucking lever action was a battle rifle at one point. What the fuck do you have as a police officer, as a sheriff? Is that a fucking floppy pink dildo, or is that an M4 fucking battle rifle, you pussy? The fuck? Stand the fuck up and grow a pair. Down there. Be a fucking man. Oh, well, we were worried that, you know, because he could put that bullet right through that fucking door. Dude, do you understand what I'm talking about here? This is a civilian with a civilian rifle. Regardless of its design, it doesn't fucking matter. All right. He doesn't. He's distraught. He has his mental capacity is fucking gone. And yet you think that because, you know, he's got this special rifle or some shit, you can't get in there and do something about it? Fucking coward. Let me put it this way. I have not been called into that situation. But I'd still go in. I don't have body armor, but I'd still go in. I don't have an M4. I have a fucking air gun, but I'd still go in. And yet, you're allowed to have a firearm, but I'm not? Logic? Reason? What the fuck has happened to it? I want to know. I think that in this country, that if you're a coward and you sign up for this kind of shit, you sign up to be a police officer, you sign up to be a public public protector, and you don't get over your cowardice, not only should you not have that job, but you should go to jail so that you can see everyone around you who is not a coward. Plain and fucking simple. And for those of you who are willing to get out there and do that sort of thing and be on that line and actually do the damn deed, are not afraid to march into the fucking hell, good job. Good job. Good job. Honest. You get the POB. Because the reality of it is, these fucking fat bodies want to sit there and say, well, it's too dangerous. No, it's not too dangerous. You're just scared. That's fine. You know, being afraid is a good thing. Having fear is a good thing. It's a survival mechanism. I was born without that survival mechanism. It's traced all over my fucking body. I was born without that survival mechanism. Being afraid is a good thing. Yet we want to allow for police officers to be that kind of bullshit. William, welcome, brother.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm just a little pissed, but hey, by all means.
I just thought I'd come on here and say hi to you. I know you didn't know who I am, so
Well, I appreciate you. Thank you.
I'm just an old man. I know you didn't know who I am, so.
You got an echo. Is your YouTube running, brother?
I just turned it off.
All right.
Still is.
No echo now. You're good.
Okay.
So yeah, I was over on if y'all ain't subbed him, by the way, you should probably go and do so. It name's Breaking Fetters. He's actually a pretty good dude. I think that he had a really good point during his live stream just a couple minutes ago, actually, that cowardice is not something that we should be extolling. You know, it is the base of every man alive. All right, the base instinct to protect children. I even have this instinct, and I don't have children, so I don't understand. I'm having trouble comprehending how people who do have children would still be afraid to go and protect them. You know, I have like I said, I don't have the survival instinct of fear. It's one of those things where I feel apprehension, but I don't feel terrified. So I don't understand it. That being said, I think that everybody should have the right to keep and bear arms, down to even, regardless of their spiel and their line. It should be, every single person who is able to prove themselves, how do I put it? Shit. I mean, I've told y'all in the past, I got a 52-50 from basically walking away from a fight because my dad asked me to, where I would have literally fucked someone's shit off because they threatened my dad to my face. I try everywhere and always to show that I am not a coward because of, the situation of, I've watched this happen to other people. I've watched other people shy away from things where they literally said, I will go do this. I will go be this. And they won't. And I'm not allowed to do those things, but I will. It's so fucking fucked up. I can't even.
I'm working at.
Whoa. You went all robotic there, brother. What happened?
I said I just wanted to come on and say hi to you.
I appreciate
Who I am.
Brother.
All right, I'm gonna get to listening.
All right. Well, thank you for coming up, William. I appreciate you. And honest to God, I'm on this level of I don't know why we've come to this level of people who have, gone and done the right thing, for instance. Like I know my situation's kind of like one of those little sort of outliers and whatnot, but till the day I die, I can never personally own a firearm. And yet, I've run headlong into extremely dangerous situations to try and protect other people that I don't even know. I'm not a police officer. I'm not a sheriff. I am not anything other than just average Joe. All right. And I've gone and run into it. So, what is the difference? Is it that they think that I don't have the logic, the rationality to be able to possess a firearm? I mean, because we know that's bullshit, but I can't comprehend why. It's, I mean, I know what it comes down to is that the government will always do what is in their power to try and disarm the people. Hey, Huck. I mean, I know it's that, you know, it's their prerogative to disarm the people because that equals more power to them. But in that same fell swoop, they're actually shooting themselves in the foot, because what empowers them to govern is the acquiescence of people like me. It's literally a snake eating its tail. I don't know how to describe basically how I've been, or how I feel about that. Other than betrayal, because I read the Constitution. I looked at it. I used to believe, you know, I used to have this kind of belief. I'm an American, and intrinsic to all Americans is not just the right to keep and bear arms, but the responsibility to stand to the common defense. You know, I That's why I call myself Minuteman. I signed the draft notice papers and all that fun shit. I signed all that, the what they call the Registry of Minutemen, which is basically something we all have to sign as at an 18, at the age of 18. And so, until the age of 35 or until the age of 46 now, they can call you up for the draft. Which, in a nutshell, qualitatively makes you a Minuteman. William, thank you. Yes, I am not the most handsome man on YouTube. Matter of fact, I'm fugly. Kentucky, good to see you, brother. Good to see you. So yeah, I just, some of this shit's just mind blowing. Of course, as a young man, I created a hell of a stir in a Democrat fucking held city, so I kind of brought it on myself, but all the same, there are some things which we should be extolling, which we, as a nation are we are demonizing. Yeah, but that's just because that was format for the video, Kentucky. It was format for the video, and I'm still pissed about that, but I'm not gonna let that get to me. It's a matter of I'm already way past that. You know, it's just a matter of I needed to get that information out there. I needed to share it to people, and I thought, well, what better way to do it than to, show the guardsmen on. But yeah, I'm still pissed about that. I ain't gonna not be angry about it. It's just a matter of most of the time I'm able to control my anger. When I let my anger loose, it's normally because something is so fucking wrong that I would do one of two things. I'd simply shut up and walk the other fucking direction, or I'd lose my shit. And because I could not walk the other direction in that instance, well, you got the other side of it. Well, yeah, that's pretty good. Hey, my dog loves me when I'm cooking meat too. He loves me all the rest of the time too, but So, I try to I'm trying to put out there things that just they provoke thought. They provoke a response. Whether that's on an emotional level or on a logical level, that I want to provoke a response. It's. I mean, why else do it? And in that same vein, back to the topic of discussion, the right to keep and bear arms is under the greatest amount of attack that it has been in over 200 years. And when I says over 200 years, I mean going right back to the fucking Revolutionary War. You realize that the last time we met with this amount of opposition to the actual intrinsic right to keep and bear arms, not just firearms, but arms in general. That's anything that could be used as a weapon. A knife, an air gun, a fucking baseball bat. It doesn't matter. All right. The last time we met this amount of opposition, the response by our countrymen was overwhelming and unanimous. I mean, sure, yeah, there was 3% who actually got the fuck up and did something. But even in the back rooms, they were saying, well, even the Magna Carta says that a militia ought to be armed. That's in one of the foundational documents of the British Empire. So trying to take it away from colonials because, they're not on the actual island of Britain, it's kind of fucked up. And so it just made no sense at the time, and people responded like they should. Now, the only difference is that it's not some foreign entity; it's our own government. It's not some foreign entity; it's the government on our soil, which comes down to the same response that was so eloquently put in the movie The Patriot with Mel Gibson. Why would I trade one tyrant 3,000 miles away for 3,000 tyrants 1 mile away? For any legislative body can reduce a man's rights as easily as any king. I'm not one for this BS of anarchy in the sense that these youngins have now. That's not anarchy, that's just chaos. See, anarchy literally means having no government. It does not mean having no morals. All right, Bonnie, have a good day. I appreciate you. Yeah, anarchy, it's actual, the foundation of the word is anti-archy, which archy is government. It is a different way of saying government. I believe in self-governance. I believe in the right of the individual walking throughout their lives and doing what they think is most morally correct. All right, that's what I believe in. If you go and you steal from somebody, that's not morally correct. If you go and you hurt somebody, that's not morally correct. But if somebody comes to hurt you and you respond with overwhelming opposition, that's actually morally correct. See, that it's this, it really comes down to, in our day and age, the greatest threat to freedom, to liberty in America, it isn't people with guns. It isn't people on the street. It's not even felons. You know what the greatest threat to liberty in the United States is? He wears a pin quite like this. The only difference is it's only two-tone. He works in a big building in a place in our country which is foreign soil. He passes laws which have absolutely no place in a free and honest society. He works to stop people from being themselves and, you know, being upright, carrying their own weight, doing their own thing. He works against that. His name is legislator. Food for thought. Cheek, hey, good to see you. Thanks for coming by. Shit. Y'all drop Cheek's link. Sub that man, woman, what have you. I don't know for certain. All right. I don't try to go and do the whole pronouns bullshit. It's just a matter of go and sub, you know, show some love. Because Cheek was there watching and heard a lot of my arguments over on Fetty's channel. And honestly, you know, matter of fact, hold up real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna blue you out, brother. Really. I'm gonna make that righteous. Here we go. There you go. You are blue. All right. Yeah, that's Cheek. Everybody go sub Cheek real quick. All right. For reals. and Sub Fetty as well. All right, because these are our people. That's why I says, you know, felon or free man, you are an American. It doesn't matter to me. The founding fathers, every last one of them were felons. You know, just because you don't put out content doesn't mean that we shouldn't all be, you know, a community. And honestly, someday you might want to put out content, and I would like to know. So that's why I sub you, brother. But the way that I look at it is that we as Americans have a responsibility we have been shirking. And because we've been shirking that responsibility, we've been doing a whole shaman thing, as it were. Really, we are to blame for them not adhering to that particular portion of the Constitution. A righteous man does not ask permission, but rather he asks for forgiveness. You can quote me on that one. Yeah. Stu's over there screaming, fuck Joe Biden right now. He's pissed. He hates Joe Biden. He also, he's talking shit about the city here because they won't let him have more than 4 girlfriends, and he don't like that. My little ones are over here, in a box. I'm trying to keep them warm because it's ice freezing cold outside, and they'd end up dying out in that cold. So if you're hearing a little chirping and cheeping, it's back here in the background. I'm keeping them warm. Any Hoosiers, I gotta say, it is up. I'm gonna put it this way. My stepmom used to say it the best. If it is to be, it is up to me. Something we need to start saying again, as a nation, as people, as individuals. If it is to be, it is up to me. Because the way that I've seen it is that everybody's on this level of, well, I'll just get somebody else to do it. Last I checked, there were many times throughout our history where, and this is something my dad used to tell me all the time too. There are many times throughout our history where we have, spoken from the soapbox and literally said, if you want something done right, do it yourself. Something to think on. If you want something done right, do it yourself. I wanted a sword done right, so I made one for me. I wanted to be able to respond to somebody trying to harm my family. And since I do not adhere to the idea that a firearm is the only option, I went and I got me an air gun because nobody was getting me an air gun. I had to do it myself. Kentucky, you and I agree on that. We need to purge the system. Unfortunately, you and I have about as much power at this particular time as the founding fathers did before the revolution. You know, if they would not have stood up, spoken out first, and when their voices were unheard, responded as they did, we would not have the country we have. I love the fact that I can walk around in my backyard with a fucking air gun. I love the fact that, you know, if I want to drink my beer, I can drink my beer. I love the fact that if I want to play my guitar, I can play my guitar. I love the fact that if I want to go and live out in the woods and say, fuck society, I can do that too. And it all comes down to the simple reality that I am an American and therefore I can choose my own path. Now, what is it that protects that liberty? Except for my right to keep and bear arms. What is it that protects that ability other than my willingness to stand up and do what is right? In a word, nothing. So I need to bring it to everyone's attention. You are the only one who is coming to help you. In the short run. In the long run, yeah, we'll have friends that come and help us and do this and that and the other. But it's a temporary, small little Band-Aid. It is not the wider picture. I put it another way. The police are not coming to help you. Regardless of what they say, they are not coming to help you. That has never been their prerogative. They are an investigative branch of the judicial system, a law enforcement entity. It is not their prerogative to protect you. It is yours. When seconds count, police are only minutes away. Your neighbors are not going to respond to the situation. Your family is too far away to do anything about it, unless they are the family members that live in your home, in which case it's still up to you to do something. Because you are the only one who's coming to your rescue. You know, in my days in the militia, I got no phone calls to do a rescue operation. None. Not a single phone call to do a rescue operation. I didn't know whether or not I was needed in a place. But in everyday life, when the situation arose in front of me, I responded. I didn't wait for permission. And I'm not going to ask for forgiveness for doing that because it's the right thing to do. You know, I used to live out there on the Colorado River, and I watched as, and this was disheartening as hell. So just, you know, I understand that it still hurts my heart to think about this. I watched as, you know, customs agents, internal customs agents, let illegal immigrants who came here with harmful intent just go. I watched it happen. There's one of the defining factors of me doing what I did. Standing to being part of the militia on the border. When I realized I was the last motherfucker doing it, that's when I walked away. That's when I walked away, because I realized one man against a million is not enough. And all I would be doing is committing suicide. To me, that's a greater cowardice. So I walked away. Because at a point, I could not do it anymore. I did it for years. I would, every day, I'd be sitting there at my job and doing my security job, cleaning that place and just living my life and doing a little bit of my YouTube and whatnot. Every night, I'd close out the night at my job, making sure that, you know, tweakers weren't coming on the property and whatnot and messing shit up. But in the hours where it was most likely that there would be illegal crossings happening, I was on the border. I would drive 90 miles, actually 98 miles, really, to the border. And I would sit in my truck with a pair of fucking binoculars and watch. For a short while, I was not the only one doing it. After about 5-6 years of doing it, I was the only one. I watched as Minutemen got arrested for protecting our country. I watched as people who immigrated to this country legally got their citizenship, turned around and did the same thing that I was doing and got arrested for doing it. By the very people who were supposed to be doing that job in the first place. And folks wonder why, as I turned around and said, nah, no more. It's one thing, you know, not to be appreciated for what you do. That's kind of just par for the course. That's the job. That's the duty. It's a whole different story when you are being beaten to a pulp for literally doing what those motherfuckers would not do themselves. I earned my right to have a firearm, but I can never have one in my life. I stood to my responsibility as a Minuteman, but I can never have a firearm in my life because of legislators. I want you to take that into consideration and recollect what's really going on in our country. We are under assault on all sides, both foreign and domestic. I was arrested for trying to save someone's life. Simply because I had my dad's gun in the fucking car because I wouldn't let the motherfucker who was going to kill this person use it. If you don't believe me, I've got a video on it. I outlined the entirety of what happened. It's there for the world to fucking see. There's a reason why when people say, oh, well, the sheriff's department is supposed to be our friends, they're our constitutional protectors. Fuck that bullshit. It was sheriffs who did that. Do tell. How is it supposed to be that they are constitutionally protecting our rights? And yet, I got arrested for trying to stop somebody committing a murder with my dad's firearm because the motherfucker had access to our house. I got charged with possession of a firearm because I was trying to protect somebody. That don't make no motherfucking sense. But they did it. See, there's, I've heard this before, Huck, where, you just have it and tell nobody about it. It doesn't work as a deterrent then. It only works in its original form, which is as a weapon, as a lethal tool, a tool for punching holes at long distance. It's the only way it works then. So there's less of a reason to have it at that point. Doesn't mean that there's no reason. There's just less of a reason. And in order to do what I used to do, and I would still do in a heartbeat, in a fucking moment's notice, you bet your ass, I cannot just have it somewhere stashed away where nobody knows about it. Unfortunately, it has to be about my person. It has to be with me at all times. And that's why I got an air gun, because it's not regulated. It's not legislated, regulated. Fuck that bullshit. It is definitely trained with. Train with it every single fucking day. I go out and I shoot a tree. That's the way as I look at it, The government disarmed me because they knew that they were about to do something which I would respond with violence to. And we are watching it in real time as I personally am disarmed, millions of motherfuckers just like me are disarmed. They take away the firearms. You know, it's a matter of time before they come after all the rest of it. Pretty soon they'll be making you register your hammers and your fucking kitchen knives. Or did you not notice that in Japan and Great Britain, you can only have one kitchen knife? It has to have your name laser inscribed on it. And it is registered to your household. Yet, you know, oh, that'll never happen here. Just like the gun registry, it'll never happen here, right? Have y'all not been paying attention? The gun registry is a thing here in the United States. The reason why I have air guns is because you don't have to register them. Legally speaking, you don't have to. They don't have to be registered. They don't have to be background checked or any of that shit. Have them sent right to your fucking doorstep. Air guns have come a long fucking way since the 1960s. Let me put it this way. If I had a Daisy 880 and I stuck this thing in there, you see here, got one in my pocket. If I had a Daisy 880 and I stuck that in there, I wouldn't have a Daisy 880 anymore. Daisy 880 came out in 1963. I would not have one if I stuck this thing in there now. Yet, my air gun, the one that I purchased, I put some fucking money down on it, all right? $700 fucking dollars for that air gun. Well, 609, but you know, after taxes, of course, a little bit more. My air gun can. It shoots these like they weren't even there. Matter of fact, it shoots heavier ones than this. And it shoots them with enough force, enough energy, impetuous, that I only need one round. One of my air guns has actually taken and has to its ledger a 500-pound sow pig. Easily 500 pounds. It was 498 pounds full dress. It's an air gun. Now, mind you, it shoots these. You know, that's as big as a pistol slug for a 50 caliber pistol. That's, I believe those are 250 grain slugs, hollow point slugs. It'll do the daggum job. That's an air gun. That's not a firearm. Not a black powder rifle. You literally pump it up with a bicycle pump sort of thing, and then shoot it like firearm. Matter of fact, I'll show that one off. It's a great air gun. Did not cost that much. Well, in the grand scheme of things, there are AR-15s and deer rifles that cost more than this. This one was $700. Actually, $736 all told when I bought it. This air gun will kill a Cape buffalo. That's one of the African big five. This air gun can actually take an elephant. It can. This is an air gun. Okay? If you think I'm a lion, there's the air dial right there. Okay? Tells you how much air is in the gun. You can see. I ain't bullshitting that. All right. That's not a cartridge. It's just a simple projectile. I keep this motherfucker loaded because bears do live in my area. Okay? It's just an air gun. But this air gun can stop a charging grizzly. This is what I'm talking about. You know, and yeah, Huck, I won't put that up there, brother. Lewis and Clark traversed America with a specific type of air gun because it shot 10 rounds before having to be reloaded. Did you know that? The reason why they took air guns with them wasn't for hunting. It was for self-defense. They took black powder guns with them for hunting. Crazy enough, the Girardoni air rifle was taken with them for self-defense specifically. Because in order to reload it, click, click, boom. Click, click, boom. Literally. That is why they took those air guns with them. It just so happens that those air guns also provided them food when their powder got wet. Those air guns held off a raid by Native Americans for, I believe it was, what, 3 days? 3 full days of fighting. And it held them off. They were able to make it through to the other side of that territory and were able to trade with other natives. They were able to go and do, you know, more exploration. They were able to provide food for themselves with an air gun. And today, we sit here and we say, yeah, but it's just an air gun. I know sure the fuck I don't want to get shot by one. I've been shot by one. Matter of fact, if you look at my face, you'll notice that there's a crease on this side, but on this side there isn't. It's because this side of my face is paralyzed. I took a slug from an air gun right here. Went all the way back, hit my jaw, and flattened out to about the size of a freaking quarter, or not really a quarter, about like that, about the size of a dime. All right, from hitting my jaw. Put a hairline fracture in my jawbone right here. So I could, from the time I was 13 years old, I could not feel all of this and all of this. That whole part of my jaw was just numb. I do not wish to be shot by an air gun. It fucking hurts. That's why I gladly will pick up an air gun to defend my home because I know they work. I don't want to be shot by one, and I really don't like the idea of having to use one that way. But if I have to, rather have it. You know, I still got my Red Ryder BB gun. I used to play war with my friends with. I've still got, you know, my wrist rocket and a couple of other things that I used to goof around with as a kid. Sure. I'll tell you what, though, if I had these air guns as a kid, they would not have been taken on to, you know, the playing field. They would have not been messed around with like that. Mm-mm. No, 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 no. We used to wear thick jackets like this in order to stop those BBs from actually hurting us. We didn't play hide and seek with them. We played war. It's actually how I ended up getting shot in the face. Funny enough. We, one of the guys had one of those pump up air guns. I got shot in the face with a 22 pellet. Yeah, Cheek, I'm not an ex-con, believe it or don't. I got my record completely cleansed. Difference is I'm what they call Baker affiliate. I was accused of being a danger to myself or others in the state of California because I was not willing to, you know, let myself be walked all over. And that unconstitutional law is nationwide. That red flag law, even though they couldn't charge me in any other state with that law, because I was charged in California with that law, every other state in the union will not allow me to purchase a firearm. And because I know that law so fucking well inside and out, I'm not going to be dumb enough to try. Because I know what the other side of it is. I tried once and it was a big fucking mistake. They smashed my rifle. I had a 22 long. Actually, I believe I still have that box of ammunition around here somewhere. I've got a box of 22 long rifle ammunition that I've had since I bought that 22 long rifle. It was just a, you know, a bolt action Marlin 95 survival rifle, you know, nothing special, nothing fancy. I had it for years, never used it to harm anybody. Well, after a fashion, I mean, nobody that was not trying to kill me at that moment, but you get my drift, you know? I used it to hunt. I used it to survive in a place where you're likely to die. When I was in the desert Southwest, actually. So, you know, I never used that rifle to harm anyone. Only used it to defend myself and provide for myself. And I never used it in any crime. Yet they took that rifle from me and they destroyed it. And when I tried to stop them from doing it, not necessarily in the moment, but through legislation, which is the proper way of doing it, going through the courts and whatnot, they came after me in ways that I did not know that they could. They took my home. They took everything that I owned. And I was on the streets for 2 years with nothing more than my shoes, my shirt, and my pants. There is a reason why when somebody tells me, "Oh, just go get a gun," I go, I got one, bro. It's right here. It's an air gun. This motherfucker will punch through a wall. That's all I really need. Because I'm not going to deal with their bullshit again. As much as, I believe in the whole, you don't have a right to tell me what I can and cannot do. I also know that I am one motherfucker up against an army of assholes. That's the reality of it. When they come to take your guns, they come racked and stacked, homie. They ain't fucking around none. I'm going to tell you the truth. They don't come to your house with one dude saying, "Okay, well, you need to give us your guns." They come with 3 first time, 70 the next fucking time. And the only reason why they only come with 3 the first time is because they think that you'll just do it. You just give it to them. They showed up at my place. And at the time, I was living in a motorhome, for fuck's sake. I was on private property. They showed up to my place, broke down the door, and took my rifle. Because somebody stole my bicycle. And I called the police for help to try and investigate and get it back. That is why I say I will never fucking call the police. Ever. Not even to investigate the motherfucker that came to my house to try and start shit. Plain and simple. I will call Hatsan. I will call Spade. And deal with it myself in-house. And that is, in a nutshell, is why nobody fucks with me anymore. Because that is my response. Somebody who comes to me in the interest of harm, if they leave, I failed. That's the way I look at it. Nobody comes to me with an interest of harm anymore. They come to me very courteous. They are, "Miss Price, man, can I please ask you for a moment of your time?" They do not come at me like that no more. Because I am the man who will literally fuck their shit up, fuck their shit in, and then ask them what the fuck they did wrong after I'm done. And it's because I've been through that situation. Asking for help from people who said, "Call us, we'll come and help you. Call us, we'll take care of the situation." No, the fuck you won't. Because, to put it bluntly, when I did call you, when I did believe in you, you screwed me. Instead of doing it the other way around. Liars. Thieves. Charlatans. Bullies in a fucking badge. That's the way I look at that. And I'm an American. I'm a Minuteman. I'm the guy who will fucking literally run down the fucking road to stop a fucking active shooter with my air rifle. While the police are still getting into their cars. I'll be hoofing it there. I don't wait for permission. I don't wait for somebody to say, hey, will you please come and help me? No, fuck that shit. I'm there. Get it done. Do you know why? The reason is, in my eyes, I wish somebody would have the balls to do that for me. In my life, I have seen nobody do it. Besides for me and my dad, who is no longer alive. The only other person in my life that has actually literally gone up to a motherfucker, stood eye to eye with that dude and said, if you swing on my boy again, I'm going to fucking kill you. The only other person in the world who has ever done it for me. I grew up in Ogden, Utah, and Los Angeles, California. I dealt with gangbangers trying to fucking bully me for my bicycle every single motherfucking day. I learned how to get ghetto with a motherfucker because I didn't have a choice. That was my life. And because of that upbringing, that up and coming in my life, I was looked at real closely as if, you know, this guy's crazy. He's mean. He's wrong. He's harmful. No, I was bullied. I was beaten. I was taken advantage of. And I said, not one more time. And I stood to that. I watched others be bullied and beaten and disadvantaged as a young man. And I stopped those bullies. And I got thrown in juvenile hall for it. That has never been a deterrent for me. Like I said before, I don't have fear as my survival mechanism. It just doesn't work. I don't have that. I don't have that emotional, you know, that emotional baggage. That stop, don't do it. You know, you're gonna die, sort of thing. It's never been part of me. I see somebody in need, I go and I help. But to this day, I cannot have a firearm. I cannot serve with any police department in the nation. I cannot be a sheriff. I cannot be on the Secret Service. I can't be in the military. I can't, because of legislation, not because of my willingness. And nowadays, it's because of the injuries I have accrued after years and years of standing to with nobody to back me the fuck up. I've had my skull crushed in for fighting to sit there and protect a home that wasn't even mine. Just so happened to be that I was staying there the night before I wanted to go to MEPS. Fucking true story. I've got a 36-inch fucking trauma suture that runs the length of my abdomen from that night. I have a titanium fucking plate in my head from that night. I bled for that because I was not willing to back down. I was not willing to let somebody walk all over me and take what I had worked hard to earn. I was not willing to let my brother come back to his house and have somebody who was going to kill him or beat up his pregnant wife. That's why I ended up in a hospital. So I will never, ever back the fuck down. It's not in me. I can't be afraid. I can't be scared. There's no time for it. Non calculat super me. Non satis temporis. That is written on my arm. That's written on my heart. And it means, do not tread on me. There's not enough time. I take that very seriously. Very seriously, because that is literally my heritage. You know, there's some new folks here watching my stream, so I'm going to go ahead and relay this information because y'all may not know this. My granddad was a war hero. World War II, Korea, and the Vietnam War. 2 Purple Hearts, a Bronze Star. My granddad served. He got a Bronze Star in World War II, sorry. Flying a fucking P-40. And then he turned around and joined the Navy and got 2 Purple Hearts. What makes me any less willing to do something such? What makes me any more of a coward? My granddad fucking sat on a goddamn anti-aircraft gun and sprayed the fucking tree line to protect the Navy base at Dung Island. For 4 fucking hours, he sat on that fucking gun. He took a round in the leg and a round in the fucking shoulder for our country. What makes me any less responsible, any less, of having that kind of responsibility? It's the same blood flows in my veins. I will never cower. I will never back down. I have been jumped by a group of fucking 20 motherfuckers. And I fought. I got shit kicked out of me, but I fought. I'll put it serious to you. My granddad, he served with the United States Navy Seabees 178th, 42nd. He served with United States Army Air Corps. I don't have the luxury of serving with the military. I tried. I really did. You can actually go and you can find that information out. They have my name registered as a nominee for the United States Army National Guard 11B 1C. That was my nomination. I am nominee 134. I went in to sign up. I went and tried. I was nearly killed the night before going to MEPS. Simply because I'm not the kind of person to run away. I've never had flee in my blood. not a runner. So, as it stands, there's a reasons why I do certain things a certain way. I'm the kind of person who has absolutely no fucks to give, but still cares. I look at it as the right to keep and bear arms is mine. And the man who tries to take that right from me is not an American. Plain and simple. So, in all reality, if you were to ask me, you know, are the ATF American? Is Joe Biden American? Are any of these representatives who would be willing to take your ability to have a firearm away from you American? Not just no, but fuck no. They are not Americans. I saw Americans today. I saw Americans. We all make mistakes in our lives. I don't believe that that should be what defines your ability. A mistake is a mistake. It's an oops. I didn't mean to do that. Even if you meant to do it. It was an instance prior in your life. It's not that case anymore. I do not respect any individual that says to me, you shouldn't have a gun. And to put it on fucking full display for you. My uncle told me to my face, I don't think you should ever have a firearm, Blaine. I told my uncle to his face, pull the fucking van over, let me out. And when he said, no, I was just joking, I said, no, that's not something you joke about. We're Americans, and if you're going to say that shit, you don't deserve to be around me. He pulled over, let me out of the van, and I walked the fucking 13 goddamn miles back to my house. Because I would not allow him to even speak to me afterwards. He has had a hell of a time even getting a chance to even talk to me since. He tried to take it back. He tried to say, I didn't mean it. I says, no, you meant it. The difference is that I'm forgiving. I'm willing to forgive you because you are my family. Any other man would have said that to me, it would have been on. Them's fighting words. I am so fucking patriotic. I bleed red, white, and blue when I do. I wear this pin on my lapel because my dad gave it to me. And it says on it, let freedom ring. My dad was one of the only people that I've ever met who was so fucking patriotic that even knowing my disposition, knowing that I could be aggressive as a man, would hand me his pistol and say, here, so that you don't get attacked by coyotes while you're out there hunting rabbits. Literally. So fucking patriotic. When I got this hat, well, not this hat particular, but a hat just like this, had a flag patch on the front. I looked at the smile that rose across his face. And to this day, it's one of my happiest memories. Because he was proud of me. Just because I was wearing a flag. Just because I was patriotic. It's one of my happiest memories. And that's why, as I said, I earned this. I hadn't earned that patch, but this patch I earned. I actually did earn that patch. So, you know, as it goes, I've got a lot of folks that want to get up my ass about, oh, well, you're this, that, or the other. You know, you don't do this, that, or the other. You don't go and do this. You're not part of that. And I'm like, no, I'm not part of that. But at the same time, I do go and do that. I am an American. By that very nature, I am the militia. It is my firm belief that if you call yourself an American and you refuse to be a militiaman, then you are lying. Plain and simple. Real Americans stand up for each other. We see others who are downtrodden. We see others who are distraught, and we try to help. That's what an American is. We are loving. We are loyal. And we are a fucking force to be reckoned with. Fuck all that other gang member bullshit, all that fucking bullshit, you know, Sureños, Norteños, all that crap. Fuck all that. We are Americans. We are the most powerful gang in the world. You know, I used to live down in San Pedro. Funny enough. Got no problems with people down in San Pedro. No hate for them whatsoever. But I'll tell you right now, ain't Americans. They'd rather adhere to some street gang than to the actual identity that we all are in America. This is Americans. Got no hate for them. But that's not being an American. You have to be willing to stand too. I've always been willing to stand too. In fact, I have stood too. And that's why, as I have such a fucking mental conundrum about why I personally cannot have a firearm legally. Because that's where it really counts. I can go down to fucking Los Angeles tomorrow. Get me a fucking gun right now. Literally. No bullshit. $500 on the barrelhead. There's a fucking gun right there. I know the people. I know the place. I know how to do it. I know the transactions necessary. Does that mean that I'm going to do it? No, because it's not legal, which means that I would be reducing myself. It should, according to the United States Constitution, be legal for every American to own, bear, furnish, operate a firearm. However, there are more non-gun owners than there are gun owners in the United States. And it's not by choice. A lot of them, it's actually opposing. It's because they were forced to not have a gun. You know, it used to be that if you were forced to sign a piece of paperwork after being drugged, that was as bad as being raped. In fact, it was worse. You know, as far as legislation is concerned. That's called signature under duress. It not only nullified it, but it charged the individual who had you sign that piece of paper with a felony. Unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. If they hit you in the arm with a fucking needle and then they get you to sign that piece of paper because you're so blitzed out of your fucking gourd that you can't help it, sitting there drooling on yourself, you know, that paper's still legally binding to this day. That's what a 5250 looks like, by the way. They literally come up to you, they inject you with a drug, they wait about 15 minutes for it to kick in, and then they make you sign the freaking release form. And that piece of paper is still binding to this day. It will be binding until I take my last breath. Even though I had to sign under duress. It's amazing, isn't it? They can do to you and get away with. Because they have all the power. Nobody has ever stood up to try and legally represent me against that. As a matter of fact, even the fucking judge said he could do nothing about it. You know what that tells me? Our justice system is not just blind, it's broken. There is no good that comes from disarming honest Americans who want nothing more than to protect their families, their homes, and their lives. There's nothing good that comes from that. All you're doing is destroying them. It used to be, as Cheek says, right here, I'm going to put that up there, man. Back in the day, if you went to jail, they handed you your weapons upon release. If you went to prison even, the moment you got out, here's your effects, here's your gun. Please don't load it until you're on the other side of that fence. Literally. Please don't load it until you're on the other side of the fence. That's what they said. Not, oh, well, you can go buy your own bullet. No, here's your gun. Here's your bullets. Please don't load it until you're on the other side of the fence. That right there, in a nutshell, is where we have failed as a country. We started considering people lesser than. I will quote a particular part of the Constitution, and I want you to hear me out, because this is actually fairly important. All men being equal in the eyes of our Creator and endowed by that Creator with certain inalienable rights, chiefest amongst these is the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, though not enumerated. They must be mentioned. That is in the preamble to the Constitution of the United States. All men being created equal are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Again, I'm going to cut it up for you. All men were created equal. They weren't created so that, these guys were all equal, but you're not. All men were created equal. So tell me, if I'm created equal to you, what makes me any less have a right to defend my life, to be able to go and procure food for myself through the action of hunting or the action of working for pay? The system was not the Constitution. System's designed to be that way. The Constitution was designed to counteract the system. The check to balance, if you will. Unfortunately, that check has been left in the water. The ink has run. It no longer carries its value. And it is because we have not stood up and fought them back. It's plain and simple. The Constitution has a clause in it which our government utilizes in order to stop Americans from being that check to balance. It's called the Insurrection Clause, and they have taken it out of context because it is also within the confines of the Constitution, specifically the preamble, which is the groundwork that lays out why a constitution is necessary. And I quote, "But when a long train of usurpations should reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and make for brighter future securities." That negates the Insurrection Clause later in the Constitution. However, the government would have you think that it does not. They would have you think that the Insurrection Clause surmounts all The insurrection clause is only there to protect America and the government and the people which that government represents in the event that the government is doing their job and representing those people. However, when it is not, and those people are reduced in their life, in their capacity, that clause is nullified. It's understanding of that piece of legislature that actually kept me personally from having to deal with that charge, because I am openly a Minuteman. And I even said so in court. And you know what the funny thing is? I got the judge to agree with me on that because it is written in foundational law. Knowing your foundational law makes you more powerful than an entire legislative body. But you have to stand by it. I also quoted to that same judge in that same moment words from Jefferson Davis. It is the height of patriotism in the United States that when a government becomes destructive of its own means, that a man stands against his government. That's literally the President of the Confederation. That's the President of the Confederate States, God. I'm telling you, they lined it up for us so that we would have the ability to do these things, to stop these people. But everybody's so scared. He says in the good book, do not be afraid. I bring glad tidings of great joy. In this instance, so do I. Glad tidings of great joy. You have the ability to do what is necessary in order to protect the future of our country. You know what? I think we've actually come to a point where we need to start using the original unhackable. You start writing letters again. You can't hack a piece of paper. I'll put it this way. This is the most hacking you can do to a piece of paper. It's still there. You can still put it back together and read it. Can't hack a piece of paper. That's the whole point behind that. You, as an individual, not only have a right and an ability to stand up and be who we as a nation need, but it could be argued you have a responsibility to that too. Now, there are representatives in Congress that were actually badmouthed and cut down for pointing out that fact. And it is fact. It's actually in the Constitution. It's there, man. You can read it for yourself. I'm not talking about their transcripts on the interwebs. I'm talking about crack open your pocket Constitution. Look at that foundational document and find it for yourself. You have not only a right, but a responsibility to stand against tyranny in all its forms, in all its respects. This is who we are as Americans. I have found loopholes in laws, specifically gun laws, and in California, mind you. These loopholes exist in California. This is actual, what do they call that? The CLF, right? CLF, the FCL, something like that. I'm dyslexic. I get shit twisted around. So just bear with me. No felon may own or carry a firearm unless, and that's the beautiful fucking word, by the way, unless that firearm is a curio device, being black powder of a nature older than 1898, 1895, 1893, something like that. In that area, in 1890s. Older than that, is not in standard production, or this is my favorite fucking part of the loopholes, bro, was made by that person. That's on the books. That is the firearms law in California. If you make your own gun, they can't legally take it from you. They'll still try, but they can't legally take it from you. That's legally your firearm. It's non-transferable. You can't sell it, but it's yours. I want you to think on that for a minute. That's all modern cartridge firearms. If you make it yourself. That's why they're trying to do away with polymer 80. That's why they're trying to do away with the freaking the printables, the ghost guns, all this shit. Like they use all these buzzwords for it. In all reality, it is what is called a self-made firearm. And that is protected specifically under the Constitution, specifically the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. That is what it was about. The right to keep and bear. In the Bill of Rights, if we read the actual Bill of Rights for what it said in its originality, the 14th suggestory to the Bill of Rights, or no, sorry, the 4th suggestory to the Bill of Rights is that because a militia is necessary to the protection of the United States and to its people, the right of the people to keep, furnish, bear, and hold arms, specifically firearms and long blade is intrinsic to our very nature and shall not be negotiated against or infringed upon. That's the Bill of Rights. That's not the Second Amendment, but that's the Bill of Rights. So if we went and we looked at what they originally intended in the Bill of Rights, every single law that you have watched in these past 4 years be passed is 100% against the Bruen decision. The text and tradition of the Second Amendment is laid out in the fourth suggestory of the Bill of Rights. That's the text and tradition. They don't want you looking at that. They don't want you seeing that. But the reality is, everything that they've written is quite literally constitutional treason. Every piece of legislation that they have written with the word firearm or gun or arms in the legislation is 100% illegal and an act of constitutional treason. There are two different types of treason outlined in the Constitution. Constitutional treason and military treason. Military treason being what Benedict Arnold did. Constitutional treason being what the legislators are doing now. And nobody is being charged. Why? What is so fucking wrong with our society that we have forgotten the most important part of what makes us Americans and makes us free? That we are capable of protecting our rights. You look at France right now, they are up in fucking arms. They are literally ready to drag Macron out by his fucking short and curlies. And they're doing it with rocks in their fucking bare hands. What the fuck? Have we gotten so decadent that we have forgotten that that is who we are supposed to be? As recent as the 1980s, we were running motherfuckers out on rails and tarring and feathering them. As recent as the 1980s. I was born in 1987. That should give you some recollection for how recent that is. We haven't done it because everybody's afraid of, oh, they'll use the insurrection clause on us and they'll declare martial law. They can't do that if the ones who are actually tasked with committing to that martial law and enforcing that are walking with us and marching with us, because they recognize that they are Americans too, and that by doing so, they are actually standing to the real law, which was laid down and described specifically to negate that clause. This is why I keep on coming back to them saying, well, this is why we have the insurrection clause, and you're saying that we can't do this. Look, representatives in Congress, all right? If you can take anything from this video, clip it out and send it to your representatives in Congress, clip this. To our representatives in Congress, the insurrection clause is nullified by the instance that any legislative body or legislator in that body restricts the rights aligned with the Constitution according to its text and tradition. Cut. So, what was his name? Representative Nader, you're wrong. The insurrection clause does not protect you against American citizens. It protects you against Americans who are disgruntled but have no legal standing. It protects you against foreign entities attempting to take over the government. It does not protect you against us. You need to have a fucking sit down and think about it before you go bumping your gums and trying to go and further an agenda which you know is unlawful and is not according to the text and tradition and is not according to the ruling by the Supreme Court Justice during the Bruen decision. Let's forget about Heller. Let's forget about Miller v. Bonta. Let's forget about all that. Just Bruen points out in its ruling that any ruling henceforth, any actions, any legislation must adhere to the text and tradition of the United States Constitution when it was written, not when it was ratified, when it was written and subsequently ratified. Okay, let's forget about all the other bullshit to that. When it was written, which means right after we went to war with Britain over an increase of taxes, which were unlawful and overwhelming and harsh enough to actually cause impoverishment, and disarmed Americans. So, Representative Nader, you are wrong. And you have, in essence and in verbatim, committed an act of constitutional treason and negated your station. Please resign. That was not a request. As it were, I've been long fucking winded on this whole subject, but you know, it takes quite a bit to actually say these things. I hope that I gave y'all something to think on. I hope that I gave you some information that can help you get some insight into what it really means to be American, to be willing to do what is necessary to be justified in what you do. I hope I gave you that small iota of legal backing, you know, that knowledge in legality and legalese to be able to back yourself up when you have to deal with these assholes. I hope I gave you just a little bit of confidence to walk a little stronger. Because one day in the future, I hope to have the ability to go out and, go plink some cans with a firearm. One day I hope to be able to go deer hunting with a firearm, because I can't deer hunt, not with air guns, and I can't pull a bow back. And my physical injury is not enough for a doctor to sign off on me getting a crossbow and using it during archery season. So there you go. Doctors won't sign off on it. I would have to have a center fire rifle to even be capable of doing it. And that's because I'm not in a wheelchair. I can still stand up. That's why doctors won't sign off on that. One of these days, I'm going to be able to go duck hunting again. It was me and my dad's favorite pastime. He's not here to enjoy it with me anymore. But maybe it will happen for me. But it will only happen if we as Americans stand up and do what is necessary to protect our rights as they were and as they should be again. We are fighting a Hydra. And if you remember the story of the Hydra, then you know that every time that Hercules cut off another head, two more grow back in its place. So when he finally defeated Hydra, he did so by pinning it under a mountain. We have to be that mountain. So until the next upload, until the next bit around, until the next live stream, the next freedom for all motherfuckers. This has been Yo Guardsman, and I am out.